Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to tell you about this podcast. It's called The DK Project, but it's really The Darren Show. The DK Project is a radio show, but without the radio. So sit back, buckle up, and enjoy the ride.
Let's go!
Today's episode is brought to you by the Lost Lake Creamery, located in Mound in the Harbor District. If you're on the bike, it's off the Dakota Trail. If you're in the boat, it's on the north end of Cooks Bay. Just look for the Lost Lake Channel. Plenty of parking provided by the city. If you're by car, 5575 Shoreline Drive. Stop in, 24 flavors of hard scooped ice cream, old-fashioned ice cream parlor. We're open for the season. Noon to 9 on the weekends, 2 to 9 during the week. Make sure to stop in and see us. Welcome back to the DK Project. Rolling along on a sunny afternoon in Minnesota. Finally turning the corner, baby. I'm telling you, the weather is just being a bitch lately. I own an ice cream store, so I have to complain about weather because it really has an effect on my business because we don't have indoor seating. Anyway, on today's podcast, zooming in from the land of the Red Sox, is Mr. Fred Carroll, host of Within the Head of Fred. He's making a return visit because he can't get enough of the DK Project, which, hey, we're not standing in anybody's way. Come on when you want to come on, brother. How are you, my man?
I'm great. How are you, DK?
I'm wondering why I can't hear myself in my cans, but that's all right. I know I sound good. I know I sound good. So before we got on the air, we were rapping a little bit, man. You got the crazy world going on. You are all in on the Venom Productions studio, everything. So you're doing Within the Head of Fred, with it, which is with Jennifer Field, couple of authors sitting around chawing the fat, and then you've got the one about addiction. What's
Ending the Stigma.
Ending the Stigma, and then you've got a movie one like Cinephiles.
The Cinephiles Flashback.
And are they all separate podcasts?
Well, I took Cinephiles Flashback and made it part of Within the Head of Fred. So it becomes a bonus episode. It becomes a bonus episode that I'll release every now and then, every other week. It depends whenever we want to do them. Sometimes we mix them right into Within the Head of Fred.
Oh, but nice.
They used to be separate, and they should be separate because Within the Head of Fred is an entertainment comedy type show, and Cinephiles is a movie show, so it doesn't get into the same analytics of Google together. You know, you can't mix them together like that.
Hell yeah. And you still have the smoking hot Jennifer Fields on your on both of those. Does she do the addiction one with you?
She was a host on that, but she can't find the time. So it's just me and Scott H. Silverman.
And how's that? Right, have you been helping people?
Yeah, you know, it's a slow roll like everything else. It's a marathon. But we get phone calls every now and then because it's an open phone line live. We do every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 o'clock Pacific. And we do a half hour to an hour, depending on details and stuff. And we just talk about, this week we talked about homelessness and sports betting, gambling, addiction. So we were supposed to have a guest. The guest didn't show up. It's just like podcasting and every other thing. The guest did not show up. So we went without a script and me and him just chit chat.
Hell yeah.
We get a lot of action on text and stuff like that, but we have a phone number connected to it. I got a 1-800 number that's on there. So it's working.
That's cool. And that's only a month or two old, isn't it?
Yeah. It's about 2 months old.
Yeah. Maybe
3 months, but I do that to balance off the crazy of Within the Head of Fred.
Of everything else.
Well, this is how I buy my way into heaven. That's what I'm doing. And I'm an atheist, so that doesn't matter. But
then you get the Red Sox thing that's going to hold you down.
Yeah. Oh, it's hurting me. They're tied with the Detroit Tigers right now, 8-8.
Yikes. Well, you know what? We've got a thing going on now. I don't know what you've got, but I have YouTube TV. And for some reason, YouTube TV and Fox Sports North aren't getting along, which is now Bally's something or other. But I can't get my hockey team and I can't get my baseball team. What a bunch of bullshit. I don't understand why it all of a sudden is so controversial that they can't allow anyone to air the games.
Is your hockey team any good?
I don't know. There was some big mix-up last night with our star. We've got a Russian kid that they've been farming forever. Kaprizov is his name. And you know what? For 2 weeks we'll be gold, and then for 2 weeks we'll be shit, and then 2 weeks we'll be good. So I don't know. You can't count on any Minnesota.
Well, there's only 2 games left in the NHL season until the playoffs.
That tells you how on the pulse I am.
Only 2 days, and my team is the best team in hockey right now by points.
God.
The Carolina Hurricanes.
Oh, you're not even a Bruins guy?
No, because I'm from Connecticut. I was a Hartford Whaler fan, and the Whalers became the Carolina Hurricanes.
Do you have any old classic Hartford Whaler hats?
Yeah, I've got 3 jerseys, 3 Hartford Whaler jerseys.
You got to let it go, man.
I love them.
Hey, you know what? So I'm in Boston, God, I don't know, 15 years ago maybe. I was taking the wife up to, what is that, Martha's Vineyard?
Yeah.
What is that off? That's off the coast of, or that's off of
Rhode Island. Rhode Island and Massachusetts.
I was in Massachusetts, Cape Cod. I went to Cape Cod. And so I had a night in Boston before we were driving up to the Cape. So I'm in Boston, and I don't know anything about where I'm going. I don't know anything. So I go into this bar, and the Bruins happen to be playing in the Stanley Cup, and they're winning and whatever. But I'm in this bar, and holy shit, these people are into it. Like, everybody's wearing jerseys. It's on every TV, and it's about to be chaos, pure pandemonium. And I'm sitting at the bar, and I meet this gal, and my wife is talking to this other gal. And it turns out the one gal grew up on Cape Cod, and the other one's family owns like the biggest resort on Cape Cod. So they're sitting there filling out these bar naps of all these things I have to do. But I think the Bruins actually won the Stanley Cup that night while I was there. And it was just chaos. But man,
it's a tough city. Boston is the toughest sports city to play in for baseball and hockey. And the reason is, I know a lot of people think New York, but when you think of New York, there's more people in New York City that don't care about sports than care about sports.
True.
Because there's so many people. So it's not and there's 2 teams and all that.
It seems
when you're a Boston Red Sox, every paper writes about you 365 days a year. You are on.
Well, and it almost seems to me more like there's more working class in Boston, and those are more people that have time for games, and that's like their release from the factory or from whatever job,
the garbage man job.
Well, yeah. I just feels like that and when I was there, I kicked myself in the ass because I wanted to see Fenway, so I walked over to see Fenway, and there was a game, and I didn't go in. I'm like, I'm not paying that much. I don't care. It looks nice from the outside.
It's expensive.
Well, and I just, when you go to a foreign city per se, even as long as you're still in the United States, but it's foreign because it's not my team, it's not my stadium, and you're like, it's hard to sit and watch a game when you don't know anybody, you don't know, it's not your team, you got no skin in the game, so. I'm like, I'm not going to spend $150 or whatever it was to get in and go do that. When I don't really care. I don't have a dog in the race. So
right. It is worth seeing, but you could go. It's better when you go on a day off when they're not in town and you take the tour of Fenway Park. The Fenway tour is amazing because there's so many little nuggets about Fenway Park being so old. And one of them is the 600 Club above home plate. There's a restaurant in there, behind the glass.
Okay.
And it's completely modeled like Cheers.
Ah,
that'd be
worth going in right there. A big Cheers fan right here.
Yeah, I went to a Red Sox Yankee 4-game series. It was a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And this is back in 1991, maybe 92. And I went with 3 of my friends, and it just so happened to be the last episode of Cheers was playing on Thursday night.
Yeah.
Well, we weren't going to the game that Thursday because we only had tickets for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But we were in town, so we watched the last episode of Cheers with the cast.
Where?
Outside the Cheers restaurant, which is called the Bowl and Finch.
Oh, I think it was called.
Is the restaurant they use in the for the setting, and they had bleachers set up in the street, and the street shut off, and you got to watch the last episode, and the whole cast was there.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
But I see John Katzenberg all the time. He lives in my town.
Well, you should call him John Ratzenberger because that's his name.
Katzenberger. I call him Katz. Okay, Ratzenberger.
He lives in your neighborhood?
I just know the mailman. I don't even care. People
ask him if he wants some canned corn. God, I love that show.
Canned corn, some pop.
He lives by you?
Yeah, he lives in the next town over here. I guess he lives in East Haven, I would guess.
Well, it's funny because we talk about all these Boston Red Sox fans and the typical, and I would think that I don't have video on this particular show, but I would think for people who are listening, you sound like the typical Red Sox fan with the accent.
Yeah, but I don't have to say, I'm dead set right in between. So I'm an hour from New York City. I'm about 3 hours from Boston.
Yeah.
And we get everything gets mixed up around here. This is where Red Sox, Mets, and Yankees all meet. Jets, Giants, and Patriots all meet. And everything gets split up. There's more Giant and Jet fans than Patriots. Well, there's more Yankee fans.
Again, I went to a Yankee game in the old Yankee Stadium. It was beautiful. I loved it. I did. Speaking of which, I'm going to Cincinnati to see the Reds play the Twins in August. Because you were talking earlier about the tour of Fenway. I narrated a 32-stop bus tour of Cincinnati.
Yeah?
So they don't have a tour guide on the bus. It's me talking about all the different stops and all the different shit. And so it's going to come out. It's what is it called? My Party Bus. The guy rents like the bachelor party buses, and he's kind of moving into this world where they have this tour. So I've got 3 more stops to finish, but I had a piece of equipment break on me, so I'm waiting. But then it'll be done. And he's got this GPS locator thing in his bus, so that it knows when you're out front of the Reds Stadium, and it knows when you're out front of City Hall, and then it puts that audio in. And then he's got TVs all over the bus, so they play little historical videos and shit. So August 2nd and 3rd, if you're in Cincinnati.
See, I'd be horrible to a point if I got hired to do jobs like that, because I'd go off script and I'd be like, and this next stop is where Pete Rose placed his first bet.
Well, I kept asking where the WKRP in Cincinnati location is, and he wasn't having it. That park where they let all the turtles go or something it was?
Turkeys?
Yeah, the turkeys. I'm like, where's that? He's a cool cat though, man. I'm having a fun time with it. It'll be, so if you're ever in Cincinnati, check it out. It's My Party Bus or My Tour Bus or something. And we're going to end up doing a commercial for it. So it'll be a lot of fun, but I'll be able to watch my Twins kick the shit out of the Reds, although the Reds are doing pretty good this year, right?
Yeah. Can I tell people I know the voice that's talking?
Yeah, you go right ahead. See if it doesn't get your ass kicked before you get off the bus.
I'll be like, my friend Darren's the voice of the Cincinnati tour bus.
I think that and a couple cereal box tops might be able to get you a free toy at a park. No, it'll be interesting. I'm not even going to tell anybody I'm going. I'm just going to go sit down there and check out people's reaction. I actually kind of want to go early in case it's bad reaction, then I can re-record some of it or something. But it's been a lot. There's God, I bet there's 32 stops on the damn thing.
Yeah, that's a great gig though that you got. I mean, you have a different speaking voice of mine. Mine is so deep and it just keeps going and going. It gets so groveling. Nobody wants to hear this that long.
Well, if Sam Elliott ever dies or the Arby's guy, you might have a shot, man.
Well, the Arby's guy isn't going to die. He lives in my town, too.
Does he really?
H. John Benjamin is his name.
Who owns Arby's or The Voice?
No, The Voice. H. John Benjamin. He's also the voice of everybody on Bob's Burger. He's the voice of Family Guy.
Well, give me his number, man. I got to have him on my show.
Listen, I only know because his parents, I used to work for his father.
Oh, well, then you do have his number.
Yeah, but listen, even when H. John Benjamin came around and I was working there 7 years ago, he don't give a shit about me. He don't care who I am.
He just kept saying, "Where's the meats?"
Yeah. He's a funny guy, and he's got tons of I mean, he really worked his way up there because he started on Comedy Central. He had a show called H. John Benjamin Has a Van.
No, nice.
And he would just drive around in his van and just pull over randomly and ask people questions.
Really?
And stuff. And it started out with that. And
you
then
can't
he moved
do that
up.
anymore.
He's on Family Guy. He's got 3 voices on Family Guy.
You know what?
He does.
Just just aimlessly maybe share the contact with me like you didn't. Oh, I didn't even know. Oops. And I won't tell him it was from you.
You could hit him up on Twitter, though.
Because that might actually hurt me if I tell him Fred gave me your number. He'll be like, Fred, I'm out. No way. All right, gang, time to talk a little restoration. If you've been hit by fire, flooding, wind, hail, some kind of storm damage, give Grady Restoration a call. These guys are experts in the field of restoring, dealing with insurance companies, getting the project done. You want to deal with a top shelf contractor who you know you can trust, who's going to show up and get the job done, not leave you with loose ends, extra bills. They're going to take care of everything. It's the crock pot of construction. Set it and forget it. They'll deal with the insurance company, the payments, everything will be handled. It'll be back to new before you know it. If you've been curious whether you have some damage or not, give them a call. They'll come out, complimentary consultation. They'll look at it and tell you if it's an insurance loss or not. Give them a call, 952-472-1570, or look them up on the web at GradyRestoration.com. Don't forget to tell them you heard about it on the project. Time to talk a little tech, something you may not be familiar with, but need to be. ExpressVPN. Did you know that sending unencrypted data is like sending a postcard through the mail? Everyone can see it. ExpressVPN protects you from hackers who try to steal your private information. ExpressVPN also gives you unrestricted access to all parts of the internet. This especially applies to those of us here in Minnesota, where Fox Sports North has decided not to work with anyone, so you can't get your favorite games on your TV. ExpressVPN allows you to reroute your connection to a server in a country of your choice, making geo-restrictions a thing of the past. ExpressVPN is offering my listeners 3 extra months when you sign up for a 12-month package. Go to expressvpn.com/the DK Project and click on the limited time offer for DK Project listeners. Start watching all the programming you want and unleashing stuff you didn't even know was out there. Netflix in other countries, Spotify in other countries, prices are different. What they're showing is different. Check it out. expressvpn.com/the DK Project. Speaking of which, listen to this. I was out in the land of the cuckoo birds this weekend. My daughter's done with school out at San Diego. And she's actually going to go to the University of Minnesota next year. And
Gophers.
Hell yeah. Row the boat, baby. Row the boat. And
do you actually have Gophers in Minnesota?
Oh yeah. We got gophers, and we also have these things called foals. I don't know, but they like voles. They're voles. They like tunnel on your grass and just ruin it. And they leave like a rounded tunnel thing on your grass. It's bullshit. You can't blow them up fast enough. Carroll, the greenskeeper at
boom.
Blow those bitches up. So anyway, we're in the land of the cuckoo birds, and the daughter and I are driving. We go up to Malibu, and she starts telling me about these YouTubers. It's all my 21-year-old and my 20-year-old talk about is YouTubers, and my 15-year-old. YouTuber this YouTuber did this. They make so much money, these YouTubers. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And he's telling me about this one kid that got really famous, and the kid's dropping out of school and not going to finish high school, not going to go to college. And, and it's like, well, what's whatever. So I'm trying to play it cool, like the dad, whatever. Cause I don't, I don't know what that world's like. I don't want to know what that world's like, but we go back to the hotel, and I'm staying at a pretty nice hotel. And that morning, I go down for coffee because the kid doesn't get up till whenever. And I'm standing in line, and I look over, and I'm like, God, I know that guy. I know who that is. And then I look, and I'm like, why the hell would he be here? That doesn't make any sense. And I look over, and I'm like, kind of strange weather today, huh? And he goes, yep. And I'm just like, oh, doesn't want to talk, whoever he is. So anyway, I get my coffee, go about my day, and they have this restaurant there that's ridiculously expensive, but it looked really good. Well, from 5 to 6, they have a happy hour. So from 5 to 6, everything on the menu, every drink, everything is half price. I'm like, we're going. So we're there at 4:59, Get in there. We got a cool server. We're right at the high top near the door. And we're sitting there and I'm having some drinks and talking to my daughter. And all of a sudden this dude shows up at the door. And I'm like, I know who that is. And then all of a sudden his famous wife shows up next to him and they're two little kids. So I'm like, I look at my daughter and she doesn't know who it is. And I'm like, I think that's Tom. And she goes, I don't know. So he starts walking by and I'm somebody, I'll talk to anybody. I don't care. I don't get embarrassed. I don't, I'll talk to anybody. So he's walking by and I go, hey, are you Tom? And he goes, yes, I am. I'm like, good to see you, man. I didn't want to seem awestruck. And it was Tom Segura and Christina Przitsky and their two kids. So they go in there to have dinner. And then my daughter and I are sitting there eating everything on the menu because it was half price. And then he goes out to take a piss and he comes back and he stops. And we're rapping about, they're moving to Texas and blah, 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 blah. But it was so funny because it was like, I just got through this whole thing with my daughter about how, these people, all they want to do is be normal and go about their day and not, be pointed out and whatever. But I think Tom's at a point in his stardom where he's still cool with being noticed. Like he still likes that people recognize
especially
him.
From that comedian and, the backgrounds and stuff like that.
And the fact that, the people that are going to recognize him probably know a lot about him. Like I've got a few fans of the podcast where when they see me, they talk podcast, they talk about whatever. Well, he's Bert, Tom's like best friends with Bert Kreischer, and I follow Bert pretty religiously. And I follow Tom a lot too, but him and his wife get a little more edgy on their podcast with stuff that I'm maybe not so interested in. But Tom is just, God, he's funny. And Christina has her own comedy specials out and stuff. And she is just hilarious, but she has this one Dick Clark bit that if you haven't seen it, look up Christina Przitsky's comedy, her hour on Netflix.
Yeah, as soon as I learn how to spell Przitsky.
I think it's with a P.
Yeah,
Mother
with
P.
a P.
Mother P. But it's so funny, and it's like like one of the last bits on the deal, and I almost pissed my pants. It's about Dick Clark. Some people get offended, but if you're watching comedy and you get offended, then you shouldn't be watching comedy anyway.
Oh, no, definitely.
So I had my little starstruck moment where I'm just like, rapping with him, ba 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 ba, and it was pretty cool. I have to say, I don't run into, I've talked to quite a few people on the podcast, but not maybe at that level. He's one of my top 5 on the list. But you know what else happened to me while I'm in California, aside from, you know what? I told my wife, I got to go there for business, for voiceover business on occasion, because sometimes you just have to be on set or you have to be on location. But if that's not the case, I am never going back to California. We flew out of LA and it was just, you know what? Let me correct that. I'm never going back to LA. We stayed in Santa Monica, which is Western LA, really. It's city. And everybody there is so into themselves and their dogs and their look and their, oh my God, I could have, but you would never know there was a pandemic, man. You would never know. And I'm like, we went to the Santa Monica Pier. I couldn't get out of there fast enough. My daughter and I get back, and my daughter's 20, and we're getting ready for bed in the hotel room, and she takes her clothes off and she like separates them. She goes, I can't even put these pier clothes in with my other clothes because the pier was so disgusting. She's like, I can't have those clothes near any of my other clothes. And she's not even like that. She's not.
Right.
She's not a princess, but it was just like, oh my God, it's so gross on the pier and nobody wearing a mask, nobody giving a shit. And I don't, is marijuana legal where you are?
No, but it might as well be. They're not arresting anybody for it.
Yeah, that's true. But in California, it's legal and it's everywhere. Everything just stinks because it's not like the pot that we had when I was young.
Oh,
it's like kill your grandmother kind of stuff and it smells so bad to where you'd be walking every 10 feet. You're like, and then there's a homeless person. Oh, then there's a drunk person. Oh, it was crazy, man. But you know what the craziest part of the whole deal was? I had to rent this big Ford Expedition because I was moving all of her stuff. I got a flat tire. When was the last time you ripped the jack out of the back of the car and changed a tire?
I don't know, but I know my kids can't do it.
Well, you know what? It's funny because well, here's the thing. The daughter forgot something in the car. So I go down to the valet and I'm like, hey, man, I got something in the car. Just tell me where it's at. I'll go get it. No, I'll bring it up. Well, then they started farting around and they brought up the wrong car. And then I'm like, that's not my car. So then they run back and get another car. They bring it up. It's my car. I grab what I need. And I didn't tip them. I'm like, you know what? This 5-minute thing took me 35 minutes because you're dicking around. I'm not tipping you. Well, then I get up in the morning and my tire's low. I'm like, those little fuckers. They're on to me. So I go air the thing up, which obviously in California, you got to pay for air. It's not free. And so I drive all the way. Oh, yeah.
Are you sure?
It's not free. No. Why?
See, here in Connecticut, even though they'll charge you for air, there's a message on it that says, if you just go in and talk to the attendant, he'll turn the air on for you.
Yeah, we have one of those here, but no, not in California. Fuck, they're going to take every penny they can. And I wasn't really in the mood to like go find like that. I just put the order. It was $1 or something, but so I pumped it up, and we go rolling to Malibu, and I starting to come home, and the pressure's down. I'm like, oh man, it's a hole. It's not that I would have rather that the damn valet let the air out, but he did, but no, it's a hole. So not only that, it's like a 22-inch wheel. So I call and I'm like, why don't you guys come change it? I don't want to change it. They got roadside service. She goes, well, can you come to the airport? We'll just switch it out. I'm like, it's got a flat tire. I'm not driving it. So I get up at 6 a.m. on Sunday, the day we're going home. And I'm like, I'm focused. I changed that sucker in like 27 minutes. Telling you, I used the jack from the back. I used the, but the crowbar was all dirty. Like this thing's had a flat tire before.
Yeah. So
I was pissed. I'm like, whatever, but I changed it. And the hardest part was lifting that 22-inch tire and wheel up into the back of the thing because it weighs a ton. But I ended up getting after Alamo on the deal. I'm like, hey, how about a little grease? I had to change a tire because you guys didn't show up. Bastards.
Did they give you?
They gave me $50 off, but I don't know if I'm ever going to see it. I don't know. They were cool about it. And then I get to the airport. Not that this is all about my trip, but then I get to the airport and the Sun Country lady, I had paid for 4 bags because I knew we were moving my daughter home and I only had 3. And I get up to the deal and I'm like, yeah, we paid for 4, but I got 3. She goes, no, you paid for 2 and you have 3. So no, I showed her on my phone. Here's my receipt. No, she made me pay for another bag. Fuck. So I actually got that fixed before I got to the gate.
You're like me though. You're not going to sit there and argue over pennies.
Well, that's what she said.
Even if you're right, we don't have enough time left.
Yeah. She goes, what do you want to do? I'm like, well, I'm not going to miss a flight over $40. I said, bill me and I'll get it later. But then once they corrected it at the gate, I wanted to go back and go, look at bitch. But whatever. She's going to continue ruining travel. But you know what? I've said this on prior podcasts. The worst job in the world is working at the airport. You got to go through all the bullshit to get to your job that people use to go travel. Except you don't get to leave. You got to go back home. Or at least these people get to get on a plane and go to somewhere other than here where you're like, fuck, I got to go.
Unless you're a stewardess. Stewardess is a good job.
I believe the correct name would be flight attendant.
Flight attendant. Sorry for
flight attendant.
Hashtag me too.
Well, and speaking of which, I was down in the great Minneapolis today driving around and I came up to this deal and it looked like maybe they had this area sectioned off because they were going to have a festival or maybe a farmer's market of sorts. So I'm like, that's cool. So I go to drive around it, so I go 2 blocks this way, 2 blocks that way, get around the back. Again, another barricade. There's a sign that says, are you ready? You want to guess?
BLM.
Oh, it's close. I see you went with the short version there. No, the sign said, you are now entering the free state of George Floyd. They got it fenced off. You can't even go in there. And I was talking to my buddy about it, and he said that inside there, somebody got hurt or something, and that's the whole deal. There's no cops in there, none of that. So they said, well, we can help you, but you have to drag them a block down the road to get them out of that environment so that we can help them. Otherwise, we can't. We can't go in there. And,
yeah. Well, I've been in one of those situations where I worked at a elderly housing as a groundskeeper, and half of it was in one town and the other half was in the other, and it had entrances on both. But one town had volunteer firemen, the other one had paid. So the old joke was, if I have a heart attack, drag me out to Route 1. I want to go where they're paid. I want to go to the paid guys.
I want to go where somebody gives a shit.
Where I got to wait for him to get there in his Camaro.
I just did I built a house like 15 years ago in a town where my water and sewer came from town X. My address was this town, and then my mail came through another town. But it also split counties in the middle of the road. So they'd only plow half the road. And then the other county would have to come to plow that half of the road. And it's like, come on, guys. If you're going to do this crazy shit, then let's work together. It's frustrating.
Cut a deal.
It's horrible. I don't know. But yeah, so
are you tired of snow yet? Are you going to move from Minnesota?
We're talking about it. I own an ice cream store here, so Lost Lake Creamery open noon to 9. It's on the Dakota Bike Trail and the north end of Cooks Bay of Lake Minnetonka.
I'm not going.
I lead with a commercial, so you'll hear it there. You'll find it. If you want ice cream bad enough, the best ice cream in the freaking area, you'll know where to find it.
Do I get a discount?
I'll give you a free one, man. I'll give you a free one when you come in. BOGO. You have to buy one to get one. We've been talking about it. I've been exploring a few locations. I've got a 15-year-old, a freshman in high school. So once he leaves, I think my winters here are numbered.
Are you tired of it though? Does it beat you down?
No, I don't mind the cold. I don't mind the snow. I can't handle the gray. I can't handle the cloudy every day. I need sunshine and from October, really probably November until April, it's cloudy 85% of the time. And I just can't a perfect place for me would be Colorado. They get
most
sun,
places
like
are down. Most places have a downside to them. Just like, it balances off. I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. Yeah. When I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina, I could afford to buy 3 houses versus one here.
Right.
But I'm 4 hours from the ocean. That's the give and take. Yeah. I live on the ocean. I could throw a rock and hit the ocean right now. My backyard is the ocean, and you grow accustomed to those things.
How far from, is it Mystic, Connecticut? How far from there are you?
About 30 miles.
I had a buddy who lived there. He went to school at UConn for a year maybe. And him and another high school buddy rented a place, and I flew out there to hang with him. Oh, man.
Good town.
Jesus. It was good. Is it Greenwich, Connecticut?
Yeah, Greenwich is on the New York border, though.
Oh, that's
New York City border.
Then. I'll have to ask him. I don't remember. Man,
Norwich. Was
it?
Norwich is that way.
It was like a little harbor town, where it was like, oh, golly. From what I remember, might have been
a lot of money too. It costs a lot of money to live. You don't just move to Mystic.
No, but I have a plan. I have a plan. Here's my plan. I've got a location identified. I've got the cafe identified. I have the condominium identified. I just need to put it all together. Because what I want to do is sell everything here, and then I want to go to this deal and buy this little cafe. They open at like 5 or 6 in the morning, and they close at 1 or 2 in the afternoon. The strongest thing they got in there is a Bloody Mary. And you get to know all the locals. You get to know and that's it. I want to run it, and then I want to just become a beach bum.
So answer me this. You have 3 children. Let's assume all 4 children.
Yep.
So let's assume all going to college. Do you cut deals with your children? Because I did. Not everybody does. Or are you paying for their education?
I'm on the hook for the first 4 years. And my daughter going back to the University of Minnesota, I probably will pay for her medical school too. Although she just got a job where nannying that she makes more than I do. So I don't know what the hell's going on. But yeah, I'm taking care of the first 4. I basically way back yonder, I own a lot of real estate, and I had set it up so that I could leverage those or sell them and pay for their colleges. And that was kind of my thing.
Yeah, that's smart. That's definitely smart. I wasn't that smart with money, and I became a single parent with
which makes
kids.
it tough, which makes it tough. And But I got to tell you, I brought my daughter home. My son's been home for about a week or two. And my daughter, because he goes to Arizona, and my daughter, we just came home on Sunday and we went out for dinner. We all met at our favorite watering hole in town here. Man, is it nice having them all together, but every time I do it, I feel like, there's only like so many of these left, where all of a sudden there's going to be significant others and there's going to be, and it's going to happen. And
then we're going to die. Then we're going to die,
yeah.
Darren.
Yeah, well,
we'll be dead.
Aren't you a breath of fresh air?
Yeah, that'll happen.
I've got a kid that's turning 30 this year, and I don't ever hear from him, but I never really did. He lived with his mom and blah, 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 blah. Great kid. I have, a ton of respect
I understand.
for him.
I have one too. I have a 32-year-old.
He's got a whole life and all that shit somewhere else.
I might have talked to her 3 times this year.
Yeah, that's probably 2 more than I did. We text, Actually, it was funny because if I text him, why don't you come up this weekend? We'll hang out. I don't hear from him, but I text him about Tom Segura, boy. He responded before I hit send. He was on that shit because he listens to a lot of the same. We follow a lot of the same comedians. We've actually, traveled to see Joe Rogan and Andrew Santino, and like so we got that. But he's got a whole life, and he grew up a different world than I did. So we make the best of it. But my other 3, they're stuck with me. They don't have a choice. They got to hang out with me. So I dig it though. I tell you, there's nothing I enjoy more than hanging out with the kids and the family.
I love it, and I love to complain about it. Also,
how many you got?
I have 3.
Yeah, and what, you got a 32, and what are the other ones?
32, 27, and 20.
God damn, how old are you?
51.
Jesus. You get the AARP card yet?
Yeah, I do. I did join AARP, but I've never used it. But it's like $7 a year.
What does it get you? It gets you like free cup of coffee at Arby's?
No, it'll get you like 10% off at Great Adventure, I don't know. But wow. I don't use it. I don't even know where the card is.
You gotta when do you get it? 50?
Yeah, 50 you could sign up for it.
Man, you're living. You're living, baby. Speaking of which, I was at a house today because my normal job is real estate appraising. And I'm in this house and I saw something I haven't seen in 30 plus years, maybe more. And I go into a lot of houses. Like I couldn't even guess, maybe 300 a year or something. I don't even know. And so I'm in this one today and I'm rolling through the bathroom and they got a roller set on the counter. When was the last time you saw a roller set?
I have one right now.
For what?
So me and Jennifer were just talking about this.
Were you really?
So my grandmother lived in this house and she lived here until she was from the time she was a little girl until she died at the age of 99.
Damn.
Okay. So this house is very old and there's a bathroom in this house that I went to redo. So I went into the cabinets and stuff, and there's still stuff from my grandmother in there. One of them was those old curler sets with the plastic top and you heat it up and all that stuff.
That's what this was.
One of those. But what me and Jennifer talk about the most is a thing called a vibrator. Okay.
Oh, you mentioned that. It's like I think you showed it to me on a show or something.
I might have. And it's huge. It's really a head massager, but they call it the vibrator back then. You put it over your hand and it's this huge metal motor. It weighs like 10 pounds and it vibrates your hands violently. And you're supposed to massage somebody's head with it while it's vibrating. Listen, it's the inventions of the 40s. It's from the 40s.
Wow. Does that change your view of your grandmother?
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit.
That's awesome.
A little bit.
So did you grow up in that house?
No, because she's really just a grandparent by marriage. In other words, it's a step parent mother.
Gotcha. All right. That makes sense.
But he grew up here.
Who's he?
My stepfather.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Wow, that's crazy.
And we have six houses on the same property in here, but they're very spread out. I mean, my yard goes a quarter mile in one direction and then 3 football fields in other directions.
What are you, fucking Kennedy?
No, but Kennedy.
Are you like Camelot?
You know, it's a very large piece of property, and his grandfather, my stepfather's great grandfather, bought this property with his brother in 1892 for $132.
Wow.
And I got the deed on my wall. It was a 10-year loan for $132.
When you're making a nickel.
The loan was for $75 with a 1%, you know, something like that. But it really took him 10 years to pay off that loan.
How many acres is it? Holy shit.
I don't know how many acres it is altogether, but right now, if somebody was to come here and buy the property and turn it into condos or something like that, because the ocean's right here.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it going for under 20 mil.
What, are you kidding?
Well, it's shoreline. It's a
Or are you on the water? You said you're 30 minutes from the water.
No. I could throw a rock and hit the water from my backyard.
To a lake or to the ocean?
To the ocean, to the Atlantic Ocean. So it's right on the water here. I'm about 1/8 of a mile total from the beach.
Wow. Do you ever go?
But do I ever go to the beach?
Yeah.
Yeah, every day I go down there. I like to watch sunsets. I'm very romantic like that, Darren.
Wow. I actually look, where did all the time go?
Or predatory.
So,
one or the other.
Yeah. So is it all family that lives on this compound?
Yeah, I'm the only one that's not blood family. Everyone else is my stepfather. His son lives in the house next to mine. Me and my daughter are here. And his cousins live out the next two houses. And they split the property because their fathers are the ones that owned it.
How cool is that?
We have gardens. We have a huge garden where it actually gets plowed with a real plow. That type of garden, not sitting there walking through it or anything. I just go and pick shit out of it.
Do you still have hired help?
No, he does it all. He was in the liquor business for a long time and made a fortune off it. He was smart. He was smart like you. He bought real estate on the ocean, and the only thing he did was make a promise to his father never to sell this property, and he never will.
Wow. So do you own or are you renting?
I rent from him.
Nice.
But he charges me I pay like $500 a month. Where are you going to find a rent for? I mean, I live in a house. I've got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. He pays for the water and all that because the water, that's the crazy thing with these old houses. You probably ran into this because these houses were here before the roads.
Oh, sure.
So I remember 12 years ago, I didn't pay my water bill. My water bill came and I didn't pay it. So the water company comes to shut you off. Well, when they shut me off, they shut all our houses off.
Oh, boy, that's tough to explain to the family.
No, it was really nice because now they can't legally shut you off anymore because that's against the law. You can't kill 4 other people just because of one. So my water can never
water
be shut.
bill.
So that's when my father said, I'll take care of all the water bills from now on.
Send me. You got to send me your address in the chat window. I got to look at this shit on the Google Maps.
Yeah, it's good.
I got to check that shit out. I had no idea you were a Kennedy. That's awesome, man. Just don't be driving at night and don't be flying at night.
We do have a neighbor, Ted Kennedy Jr., lives down the street. A real Kennedy.
Really?
Imagine that. Yeah, he was our town rep for a long time.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. Well, you get a lot of people.
You ever talk
whenever
to him?
It's Connecticut.
You ever talk to him about the old man?
No, I've seen him going by and stuff. I don't talk to people. I talk to people on here.
You're a fucking host of a 7 podcasts. You don't talk to people.
But not in person.
You're a modern day millennial style person. I don't want to have to actually talk to in front of somebody. I'd rather text or sit behind a microphone. You're one of them.
Yeah. Well, what I could do right now, I could just claim my internet cut out and just go away, send you a message and say, hey, sorry, man, storms and got stormy.
It didn't work. We got a nor'easter coming in.
Yeah, big snowstorm.
I'd find you. I'd find you somehow. I would be tracking that Kennedy kid down and asking him about the old man.
I don't think he's a kid, though.
Well, if you're a junior, you're a kid. Always, always. We got to put a pin in this thing, man. You've been a hell of a good time. We slid her right into the right amount of time.
Good.
But now I'm thinking we got to get back together so we can discuss your living situation.
Yeah.
You talk about it like it's normal. What do you own? Part of the Sox? You're in on the main the foundation of the team.
Well, it's definitely what I think I'm gonna one day.
Own part of the Sox?
Yeah, why not? Me and Tom Werner and what's his name? LeBron James just bought into the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, did you see what's his teeth just bought into my Timberwolves? Don't say my Timberwolves. I've isolated myself so much from TV since all this Trump and all this election and all this shit's going on that I didn't even know that our local professional basketball team was sold to Alex Rodriguez.
Wow. Oh, yeah, that's right. He did. You're right.
Okay, here, you'll know this. You're in touch with celebrity gossip. Is he married to J-Lo or they're just dating?
Well, they're broken up now.
Right, but were they married? No.
They were engaged.
Right. See, that's what
listen, A-Rod is A-Rod. A-Rod's that type of guy. You can't hate him for his talents and his skills. But unfortunately, one of his other talents and skills is other women. He doesn't care. He doesn't have enough soul to stick to one woman. And listen, she's probably not. How much of a pain in the ass is J-Lo? She's been engaged. She's been married 3 times and engaged like 8 times.
That's what I was telling my buddy. I'm like, I think she's used all of her credits. She can't even get married again. There's none left.
Well, my grandfather used to tell me, for every beautiful woman in the world, there's a guy that can't stand her.
That's exactly right.
And it's true. You can't base it all off beauty. That's the one thing I'd love to hammer into my children is looks are great when you're in the mall and you're on vacation, but you got to go home with that person.
Wow. But she's smart. She's talented. I mean, she checks a few of the boxes, not just beautiful.
Yeah, she checks a few, but how much?
Sure,
she's got to be a
maintenance package. I'm sure.
Yeah, the maintenance has to be out through the roof. Has to be
from the guy who's got a mannequin head of a woman on his desk behind him.
That's my bitch.
Is that your co-host when you need it?
Yeah, I got that from my daughter's a hairdresser when she was in hairdressing school.
Yes,
that's what they practiced on.
Yes,
so I took it and I said it looks really cool there. So,
this is why we don't do video, because you'd have the authorities at your house checking into shit. All right, Freddie, my boy, we got to wrap shit up. Tell us what you got coming on your podcast. The next, your next release. You just recorded a couple. You said what's going down?
Yeah, we're just talking about general stuff. Nothing major. We go into some news. I make Jennifer read a fake news story to prove to my listeners that she will read anything I write to her. So I made her use names like she read a story and I took all these names that are joke names, like Jenny Taylor, and stuff. And she's reading it like it's a real New York Times article. And nice. I was just laughing to it. She's good like that. She's a great host. Yes. She's a very talented woman and she's good to me.
All right.
But we always keep it fresh. We keep it active.
What do you do? One a week?
Yeah, 1, 2, whatever. I just keep recording.
I like it.
I should, I like to have backups in case I ever do this thing called work again.
Ooh, don't say like that.
I might try it. My mother told me if I'm not good at something, don't do it. And I turned out I'm not very good at working.
Hey, listen, you're a Kennedy. You don't need to work.
That's right.
You're going to be fine. Right.
But as soon as we sign off, I got the Google Maps up.
Yeah. All right, cool, man. Well, listen, we thank you. And everybody check out Within the Head of Fred. And I always forget the other one. Beyond?
No. Ending the stigma.
Ending the stigma. Listen, he goes into radio voice.
Ending the stigma.
Ending
A path
the stigma.
to recovery.
It's a call-in. So if you're struggling with any of that stuff, find the number, give a call. These guys can help you out. The other guy is a licensed professional, isn't he?
Well, not licensed, but he is a certified life coach, but he's a former addict.
That's as good as a license, man.
And he does it. The guy's just great. So
that's cool. All right, Fred. Well, thanks so much. Everybody check it out and tune in next week for another episode of the DK Project. That's it. That's the end.
That's a wrap.
Read the shtick.
That's a wrap for today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and tell all your friends. If you'd like to reach out, you can use the studio line at 612-504-6500 or by email, thedkprojectpodcast@gmail.com. And of course, there's always social media at the DK Project Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.